Medical technology, it's incredible. It saves lives literally every single day. But have you ever stopped to think about what happens when that amazing life-saving tech gets, well, old? We're going to dive into the secret and super important world of what comes after a medical device has done its job. So, let's pull back the curtain on what you could call a device's final chapter. And believe it or not, this process is just as critical as its very first day in the hospital. It's just something most of us never, ever consider. All right, take a look at this, a CT scanner. I mean, what a piece of tech, right? It's a total marvel of modern medicine, letting doctors see inside our bodies with just, unbelievable detail. But what happens to it when it gets old? When a newer, faster model comes along, or it just plain wears out. You can't just roll it out to the curb with the trash, right? Oh no. The real answer is way more complex and way more interesting than you'd probably think. And we're talking about a massive scale here. The global market for these devices was worth, get this, $389 billion back in 2017. That is a colossal amount of high-tech gear that, sooner or later, is going to need a retirement plan. And like I said, you can't just toss them. Why? Well, these machines are packed with all sorts of specialized materials, super sensitive electronics, and sometimes even hazardous stuff. Just throwing them in a landfill isn't just a waste, it's actually pretty dangerous. Okay, so this is where the official process comes in. Think of it like a formal retirement plan for medical equipment. It's called decommissioning, and it's an absolutely critical piece of the whole healthcare puzzle. So what does that actually mean? Well, the World Health Organization defines it pretty clearly. Decommissioning isn't just about throwing something away. It's a really deliberate process of taking a device out of service and then making a big decision. Can we give it a second life somewhere else, or does it need to be put out to pasture, permanently and safely? And listen, this is not some minor bit of administrative paperwork. The WHO says it perfectly. Decommissioning a device the right way is just as important as buying and installing it in the first place. I mean, think about that for a second. That one idea completely changes how you look at this whole thing, doesn't it? So when you get right down to it, the whole decommissioning decision really boils down to two main paths. Path number one, reuse it. Find a way to give it a new life and extend its value. Or path number two, eliminate it. Safely get rid of it, managing all the risks and materials the right way. All right, so let's dig into that a little deeper. Reuse or eliminate, because each of these paths has a ton of different options. Okay, so you can really see the two different mindsets here. Reuse is all about getting the most bang for your buck, squeezing every last drop of usefulness out of that machine. But elimination, that's all about playing defense. It's about managing risk and making absolutely sure that when you get rid of something, it doesn't end up hurting anyone or the planet. And that reuse path, that's got a lot of different flavors. You could take a machine from, say, a super busy ER and just move it to a less demanding department. You could get it professionally refurbished and then sell it. You could even trade it in to get a discount on the shiny new model. Or, and this is a really important one, you could donate it. And this is where the rubber really hits the road. A piece of equipment that's considered old news in a wealthy hospital could be a complete game changer, a life-saving upgrade for a clinic in a lower resource area. I mean, this is where a smart decommissioning plan literally helps save more lives. It's incredible. But of course, it's not always that straightforward. A lot of these devices have hazardous materials inside them, which makes that eliminate path a whole lot more complicated and a whole lot more risky. Just take a look at the different kinds of hazardous waste we're dealing with. You've got the stuff you'd expect, right? Sharps, like needles and scalpels. But then you've got radioactive materials from things like radiotherapy, chemical waste like mercury, and of course, all the electronic guts, the circuit boards and batteries. Every single one of these needs its own special, careful way of being handled. And being able to spot these dangers is obviously super important. We've all seen the classic radiation symbol on the left, right? The trefoil? But check out the new one on the right. The ISO introduced it back in 2007, and you can see why. It's designed to be way more universal. It just screams danger, get away, to pretty much anyone, no matter what language they speak. It's a really stark reminder of the stakes involved. And here's a perfect, everyday example of how to manage that kind of risk. The humble Sharps container. It's so simple, right? Just a tough plastic box, but this little piece of safety design prevents a staggering number of injuries and infections in hospitals all over the world every single day. And then you have the hidden dangers, like mercury. This stuff is a really powerful neurotoxin, and you'd find it in older gear like thermometers. It's so dangerous, in fact, that there's a whole global treaty, the Minamata Convention, that's all about phasing it out. That just shows you how seriously the world is taking the threat from just this one chemical. Okay, so we've covered the what and the how of getting rid of old equipment, but now let's zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture, the why. Because the decision to retire a piece of technology doesn't just happen out of the blue. It's all part of a much bigger strategy. And that strategy has a name: disinvestment. It sounds a little corporate, but it's really just a smart, strategic decision to stop using a certain technology. Maybe it's because new research shows it's not as effective as everyone thought, or maybe it's just not cost-effective anymore compared to the new stuff that's available. And this isn't just a random choice. It's a whole process. First, they identify the tech that might be underperforming. Then, they prioritize which ones to get rid of first, based on things like safety and cost. After that, they actually implement the plan to phase it out. And finally, and this is key, they go back and check the impact to make sure the change was actually a good thing for patients and for the bottom line. So at the end of the day, this whole thing, decommissioning, disinvestment, it is so much more than just a fancy way to say waste management. It's a really crucial process that's all about protecting people, patients, hospital staff, and yeah, the planet too. Which really leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? As technology keeps accelerating like crazy, how do we get better at this? How do we design the medical devices of tomorrow so that, from the very beginning, they're built to have a safer, smarter final chapter? We need to make sure their secret afterlife is just as impressive as their first.